Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Angela. So I thought I would go ahead and since I'm on a roll tonight and do the uh, de- um, card of the month for June. I just did the card of the month for May because I forgot to do it, so I thought I'd do it and then real quick and then this one. I forgot. I don't know why I've got them turned over. So for the month of June was a roller coaster of emotions and craziness and just really stressed out, just to the max. I can't take anymore. There was a couple, two or three moments in the month where I was like, if I have one more thing happen, I'm not going to be able to handle it. Um, there was an opening up at my job, and I spent basically the whole month trying to get my son on there because the HR that we deal with, we're a very small um, office where I'm at. So the office that we have is, or the HR that we have is in Alameda, California, which is not where I'm at. It's thousands of miles or hundreds of miles away. On top of that, June 8th, we had a huge storm. A tree branch went through the front windshield of my brand new car. It's still not fixed. And we are on July 2nd at this point. I just now, this past Friday, got it in somewhere to be worked on. I took it somewhere. I had to wait 2 weeks to take it somewhere. Um, and when I got it in, they were super rude, super hateful, super not wanting to do anything. They wanted to charge me over $6,000 just in labor, which is almost triple the amount of work they charge for parts for my car. And I'm like, this is a ripoff. So I took it somewhere else Friday, which is now going to be worked on. But there was a lot of, to me, I've always been able to, I used to say my superpower is to tell when somebody was lying. There was a lot of deception coming from this place, and it really shook me because it's the place I bought the car from. And I'm like, okay, so they just don't care once the car is sold. They don't care how they treat you. It prompted me to, once this car's paid off, I will never buy another vehicle from them again, ever. So they screwed themselves in a way. On top of that, the health issues I have are continuing. They intensified in the month of June because my doctor did find something very dramatic. Um, Sent me to a specialist. The specialist is like, I don't know. So he had me do the same exact test over and over again. I was exhausted. I did like 6 of the same tests in the month of June, 6 different times. They finally got what they wanted, and now I haven't heard from anybody. So I'm just kind of in limbo right now, like wondering, am I really, because I was told by my doctor I was literally a stroke waiting to happen. And now I'm being told, we'll see. And then put a rush on all these tests. I had them all done. And then now it's like a waiting game to see if this doctor is going to get back to me. And this doctor wasn't the nicest, pleasantest person either. And I'm like, what is happening? So for the month of June, there was a lot of waiting, a lot of anxiety, a lot of emotional, just depression going on. There was a lot of balls in the air, and I had to juggle all of them. And I'm like, if one more thing gets thrown at me, I'm going to crack. So yeah, so that was it was very intense, and I do feel like there's a possible break at this point. My son got the job. He starts Tuesday, day after 4th of July, because we're off 4th of July. My car is finally getting into somewhere to get fixed, so hopefully July will go a lot smoother than June did, because June was just a hot mess. And if you're just tuning into my channel, the first I did a year ahead spread in January, and this year I used the Dreamkeepers Tarot and the Frank Pinter Tarot. I decided to use 2 different decks this year and see how they contrast. And there's been a couple months where they were like light and dark attributes of the same thing. And then there's some months where they flow. So this month it seemed like they flowed well together. So for the Dream Keepers Tarot, I got the Five of Cups. And it reminds me of the Light Seers Five of Cups, where this person's being drained, it looks like, of their life energy, their force, their life force, to where there's just nothing else they can give. And that's exactly how I felt in the month of June. Like, if one more person asks for my help, I don't know if I can handle it. And it's weird because it looks like there's a version of her in the moon here. That's this darker part of herself. And I really felt that there was a darker energy surrounding me for the month of June, just egging me on to keep me in this space of drained. And I fought like hell to keep out of that energy. It just, no matter what I did, it seemed like it wasn't working. Because then there would be another thing that would happen and on top of everything else. And I'm like, this is insane. So I very much feel that was the energy for the month. And then we have for the Ferenc Pincher Tarot, the Seven of Swords. And this deck, it's like they're lying in wait. These crooks, or whatever they are, spirits, evil people, they got a knife. They're lying in wait for this innocent person to come along. And this is how I felt with the car place, because they were lying in wait, waiting for somebody, some innocent me, because I've never had an issue where I've had to have my insurance involved and everything. And I felt like they were lying in wait, waiting for to make their move and do their deception. So it's quite interesting that this seems to be the overall energy of the month. And then this seems to be toward the end of the month, this also negative energy coming in, which I found quite interesting. So let's see what the Five of Cups says in the Dream Keepers Tarot book, because I love this book. It says, despite disappointing loss, opportunity remains. A woman draped in lush red fabrics rests on the shore in a time of contemplation and mourning. Behind her is the moon, which offers her guidance, a friend to illuminate her path during times of distance and loss. This is a subtle reminder that even in our darkest moments, allies and helpful spirits abound. So there is kind of a spirit in there. And I find it interesting because I've always been partial to the moon. And people are like, when I first started learning tarot, people are like, oh, the moon's a bad card. The moon's a bad card. I'm like, I don't see it that way. I see it as, even in your darkest moments, there's still light to guide you out of that darkness, which I've always maintained. And that it just kind of reflects that in this card from the book standpoint, which I love. Love it. The Five of Cups speaks of the emotional pain and sorrow that comes from unforeseen change, loss, disappointment, or regret. Connected to our experiences of joy and connection is often loss and change. Change itself can be viewed as a kind of metaphorical death, either physical, spiritual, or emotional. To learn to grow, we must give something up, and thus part of us dies. Even events even as other parts grow. Disappointment is inevitable in life, and many of those events are beyond our control. That is dead on what I went through in the month of June. That's crazy. Disappointment is inevitable in life, and many of those events are beyond our control. How we navigate, view, and frame these occurrences for ourselves, however, is within our control. Wow. When life presents us with a painful loss or disappointment, we must take care to acknowledge our feelings of sadness and not rush the grieving process. Honoring our thoughts and emotions by fully processing them is not something many of us are skilled at, but doing so allows grief to run its course and keeps it from solidifying in our being. It's like plaque buildup. That's kind of like what it feels like. What it's saying is, we've let this solidify and build up like plaque in our body. And it's not healthy for us. That's interesting. This is not easy, however, as our modern hurried way of life is frequently insensitive to the pace of personal or even collective mourning. We experience the pain of a loss and under the social contract are expected to participate fully in life again before we're quite ready. That's so true. Just like if you have a death in the family that's devastating to you, like last year, we had a friend pass away, a coworker pass away, and it was just like, oh well, get back to work. And some of the people had known her for over 20 years. It was insane that they were just expected to just jump back on the horse, so to speak. Interesting. We can sometimes become stuck or addicted to our suffering and grief and begin to see ourselves as victims. I've done that. I'm sure many of us have done that. In the example of the Five of Cups, the reflection she sees in the water is permanently broken and empty, but is that an accurate mirror of who she is? Of course, it is an aspect of who she is, but it is not her entire identity. The message here is that in overindulging in the suffering and focusing solely on the pain, we miss what remains. She gazes intently at her broken self and at the lost cups. While the upright cups are overlooked, as is her physical wholeness and health. In other words, it is often tempting to focus more on what you do not have than on what you do have. This card is calling me out like crazy. Be careful not to overlook the good that might be present or neglect the insight and growth the pain may have evoked. Many of life's deepest lessons will grow from our suffering when we endure being crushed, wounded, and hurt. It is from these experiences where we develop our souls and find true compassion. Wow, all of that gave me chills. When the Five of Cups appears, it indicates a loss of some kind. But with the feelings and be with the feelings and allow yourself the time you need to grieve. Even distant losses, if they haven't been attended to, might surface now. And considering what has been lost also inquires as to what remains. What, in spite of the pain, can you take from this moment to help strengthen you as you carry on? And I can't believe it worded it that way because the Strength card is my card of the year. Interesting. Do not rush this process, but do not linger too long either. Love yourself enough to process the grief that may be present, giving it the time and care it asks for. Then love yourself enough to move on. Wow. There is no formula for this individual process except to attend to the needs of the heart and let it guide you toward a path of wholeness. Wow. Upright, loss, bereavement, regret, mourning, disappointment, and grief. Reversed, forgiveness, moving on, healing, and compassion. That is insane. This book is insane. Insane. And now we have the Seven of Swords here. Let's see what that says. Interesting. Seven of Swords. Description. Two rogues with blades drawn crouch in the branches of a tree as a pair of riders approach. Essence. The Seven of Swords is a card of trickery and deception. Gaining victory by unscrupulous means, and I totally felt that at the end of the month. In a reading, sometimes the best strategy is to not play by the rules. This card can indicate that someone is playing you false, and you should be on your guard for duplicitousness or theft. And I swear, I'm telling you, it's that car place. Wow. And I took it somewhere else. I didn't play by the rules and went to them. I went to somebody else. As it's most helpful, it's a recommendation to think outside of the box and find an alternative, perhaps even unorthodox strategy that others will not have considered. Be careful not to reveal too much of your plan. Note the mist rising from the hills. And I think it's dead on what was talking about with the car lot, because I wound up taking it somewhere else, and it turns out the place I took it to doesn't do regular cars. And they do like FBI cars, undercover cars, stuff like that, fixing it. I'm like, well, why did you say yes to doing my car? He's like, well, every now and then someone will get our number or whatever. And he said, we can't turn down work, right? And I'm like, right. So it was an unorthodox kind of place I wound up taking it to unknowingly. So that's quite interesting that comes up in that card. That's quite interesting. Yeah, I don't know why I got lazy on doing these. This is crazy. Crazy. So yeah, that is my card of the month for the month of June. just the cards of the month, dead on what I went through in the month of June. Hopefully, we'll see what goes on in July. I think what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to look at the cards as soon as I get off here for the July. And then if whatever decks I use throughout the month, however many times I pull either of those cards, I'm going to write it down and see how many times that card applied. So that'll be a quite interesting experience. I've never done that before, so interesting. So if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, don't hesitate to comment below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification button so you're alerted to any future videos. And y'all have a good night. Bye.